The German women who strip down in public parks without anyone batting an eye. Picture walking through Berlin's Tiergarten on a summer afternoon and encountering dozens of completely naked people sunbathing on the grass, reading books, playing frisbee, having picnics, and engaging in perfectly normal park activities except they're wearing absolutely nothing. Now imagine that among these nude sunbathers are German women whose casual comfort with their bodies creates scenes that would cause arrests in most countries but here barely warrant a glance from passing families with children. These aren't exhibitionists or provocateurs but ordinary Berliners participating in Freikörperkultur, free body culture, a tradition so embedded in German society that designated nude zones exist throughout the city where clothing is optional and nakedness is normalized. German women, particularly in Berlin, possess a relationship with their bodies that's simultaneously liberating and matter-of-fact, shaped by decades of FKK culture that views nudity as natural rather than sexual. They're tall, often blonde or light brown-haired with pale skin that turns pink in summer sun, athletic from cycling everywhere, and remarkably diverse given Berlin's status as Europe's multicultural capital. But their physical appearance matters less than their attitude. These are women who've internalized body positivity to a degree that makes contemporary movements look superficial, who literally bear everything without shame or seeking attention. The city that rose from total destruction. Berlin sprawls across 891 square kilometers in northeastern Germany, making it the country's largest city with 3.7 million inhabitants. Look at a map and Berlin sits surrounded by the state of Brandenburg, landlocked in former East Germany, about 70 kilometers from the Polish border. The city's geography is flat, carved by the Spree River that winds through its center, dotted with lakes and canals that create surprisingly abundant waterfront. Berlin's defining geographic feature isn't natural but historical. The invisible line where the Berlin Wall once divided the city into Communist East and Capitalist West from 1961 to 1989. That division shaped everything about modern Berlin, creating a city of stark contrasts where Cold War history remains visible in architecture, demographics, and cultural attitudes. Today, the former border areas, particularly neighborhoods like Kreuzberg, Friedrichshain, and Prenzlauer Berg, have become the creative heart of Europe where artists, musicians, and digital nomads from every continent converge. Geography of a scattered metropolis. Berlin isn't a compact European city, but a sprawling collection of distinct neighborhoods, each with its own character. Mitte, the historic center, contains Brandenburg Gate, the Reichstag Parliament Building, and Museum Island with 5 world-class museums. Charlottenburg in the west maintains bourgeois elegance with grand avenues and designer shopping. Kreuzberg and Neukölln in the South pulse with immigrant communities, street art, and a gritty authenticity that attracts creatives priced out of other European capitals. Friedrichshain to the east features the East Side Gallery, the longest remaining section of Berlin Wall covered in murals, plus countless clubs where techno music plays until Monday morning. Grunewald Forest in the west offers 3,000 hectares of woodland where Berliners hike, cycle, and yes, sunbathe nude at Teufelsee, Devil's Lake, one of the city's most famous FKK spots. The nude zones that shocked first-time visitors. Now here's where we dive into what the title promises, the reality of Berlin's nude zones and what actually happens there. FKK culture originated in Germany in the early 20th century as a health movement promoting natural living, fresh air, and physical fitness. It exploded in East Germany where communism's rejection of Western consumer culture made nude recreation an acceptable form of leisure that required no money. After reunification, the tradition persisted and expanded throughout Berlin. Today, official FKK zones exist in Tiergarten near the Victory Column, at Teufelsee in Grunewald, along sections of the Spree River, and at various lakes including Mugglesee and Wannsee. In these designated areas, complete nudity is not just accepted but expected. Wearing a swimsuit in an FKK zone actually draws more attention than being naked. What happens in these zones defies foreign expectations. People of all ages, body types, and genders simply exist in their natural state, reading, conversing, swimming, and sunbathing without sexual overtones. Families bring children who grow up seeing nudity as unremarkable. Elderly people strip down alongside 20-somethings. The atmosphere is remarkably unsexy, more wholesome than most beaches where people wear revealing swimwear while projecting sexuality. Photography is strictly forbidden and harshly enforced by both authorities and fellow FKK participants who protect the non-sexual nature of these spaces. Women who redefine body confidence. German women's relationship with nudity and body image differs fundamentally from Anglo-American attitudes. They grew up in a culture where saunas are mixed gender and nude, where changing rooms at pools lack privacy, where topless sunbathing is completely normal, and where the human body simply isn't treated as inherently sexual. This creates women who possess genuine body confidence rather than the performative self-love that social media promotes. They don't pose or preen when naked in FKK zones. They're not trying to look attractive or sexy. They're simply existing comfortably in their bodies, whether those bodies are thin, heavy, young, old, conventionally attractive or not. For foreign men, particularly from more puritanical cultures, this creates cognitive dissonance. The nudity is visible but inaccessible, present but not for consumption, real but somehow desexualized through its casualness. Berlin's techno clubs where rules also don't apply. Beyond FKK zones, Berlin's legendary nightlife operates by its own code. Clubs like Berghain, Tresor, and Watergate function as modern temples where techno music provides the sacrament and dancing continues for days literally. Berghain famously operates from midnight Friday until Monday afternoon, with people entering and leaving across 60-plus continuous hours. The door policy is notoriously selective, with bouncers rejecting people for reasons ranging from being too drunk to looking too touristy. Inside, photography is prohibited, phones are stickered over, and what happens remains private. A beer costs 4 to 6 euros or $4.35 to $6.50. Entry runs 18 to 25 euros or $19.50 to $27. The clubs attract international crowds who time entire European trips around Berlin's weekend party scene. Historical layers that created this freedom. Berlin's unique libertine culture emerged from specific historical circumstances. The Weimar Republic era of the 1920s made Berlin Europe's capital of decadence and sexual freedom before the Nazis crushed it. Post-war West Berlin, surrounded by communist territory, developed as an island of Western freedom attracting artists and rebels. East Berlin maintained different freedoms under communism, including FKK culture. Reunification in 1990 created a city combining both traditions plus waves of immigration. Abandoned buildings became squats and clubs. Cheap rents attracted international creatives. The result is a city where freedom from judgment became the defining value. The cost of living in Europe's affordable capital. Berlin remains remarkably affordable compared to other Western European capitals. A one-bedroom apartment in a decent neighborhood costs 900 to 1,500 euros or $980 to $1,630 monthly. A meal at a mid-range restaurant runs 12 to 20 euros or $13 to $22. A monthly transit pass costs 86 euros or $93. A quality life requires 1,800 to 2,500 euros or 1,960 to $2,720 monthly including rent, far less than Paris, London, or Amsterdam. This affordability attracts struggling artists, startup entrepreneurs, and digital nomads. Food and culture beyond the stereotypes. Berlin's food scene reflects its international population. Turkish communities created the doner kebab industry, with stands on every corner selling massive sandwiches for 4 to 6 euros or $4.35 to $6.50. Vietnamese restaurants cluster in former East Berlin neighborhoods. Every conceivable cuisine exists at every price point. Coffee culture thrives with third-wave cafes. Beer gardens along the Spree provide summer gathering spots. The art scene includes over 400 galleries and street art covering entire buildings. The verdict on Europe's most unconventional capital. So we've explored this extraordinary city, from its nude zones where German women sunbathe completely naked without anyone caring, to its legendary nightlife where clubs operate continuously for days, from its history of division to its current status as Europe's affordable creative capital. We've discovered why Berlin operates by different rules, why nudity here is mundane rather than sexual, why freedom from judgment creates spaces for experimentation impossible elsewhere. Those FKK zones reveal a broader truth about Berlin. This is a city that rejected shame, embraced diversity, and created spaces where people can exist authentically. For travelers seeking experiences beyond typical tourist offerings, Berlin provides encounters with alternative culture, genuine body positivity, and freedoms that feel increasingly rare. Whether you'll strip down at an FKK zone or simply observe this fascinating cultural phenomenon is up to you. Now we want to hear from you. Drop a comment telling us which city or country you're watching from and whether you dare visit Berlin's nude zones. What surprised you most about FKK culture? Hit that hype button and smash the like button because it costs nothing but helps our channel grow. We're grateful for every view. Before you go, click one of the suggested videos on screen to discover more fascinating cities and cultures. Until next time, keep exploring with an open mind.